phone. I just realized I don't have mine.
What's wrong?
I left my glasses in the car.
You better go get them.
We're good. We're
I did
good.
that to one parking license that you went to with me.
You can
remember? I didn't have-
Yes, that's it. I think I can make this work. We're fine. We're fine. Here, a pen.
Yeah.
We can wait.
We're fine. We'll make it. I can make this work. Okay, we ready?
Ready,
All right,
girl.
let's go ahead and do this. All right.
Lund,
Here.
Johnston.
Here.
Watts.
Here.
Allen.
Here.
Jacobs.
Here. All right. Approval of the city minutes?
Move to approve?
Lund,
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes. All right, do we just need to do that once, or we need to do it twice since there was two?
No, I think
Once
we
is
can do it
fine?
together.
Okay.
Did you mean together, both?
I meant them together.
Okay. Well, sure.
That's what I thought.
Just noticed we had two of them
Yeah,
on here,
no,
so just
it's
wanted to be
fine.
sure. Okay, adoption of the agenda?
Move to approve.
Lund,
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes. All right, start off with a community survey result presentation.
We'll have to postpone
we're
it.
going to.
She's not here right now.
Postponed for till she gets here.
So if she
Okay.
comes later in the meeting.
All right, let's move on to a 6-month budget review. That's our report.
Good afternoon, how's everybody doing? Today we're going to talk about the 6-month budget review. First of all, the revenues received in the budget are about 1.3% higher than we budgeted. Most of this increase is due to the increase in sales tax receipt, which is higher than fiscal 17 numbers by 5.5%. Here is a look at the budget of the sales tax revenue. And so what I have pointed out here is the FY16 numbers, the FY17 numbers, and the projected 18 numbers. If you see the 17 numbers kind of have a dip, I think that is an abnormal number or abnormal year. And so the more normal would be a 1% increase year over year for the budget. And so that's what it looks like we'll be budgeting for the coming year. Okay, here's our 6-month review of the entire budget, income and expenses. If you notice that the property tax income is lower than the 6-month projection, and the actual estimated total is higher than the budgeted, that's because we have not yet received the M&M surtax, which is around $30,000, which will bring that up above the actual 6-month projection. Interest revenue has exceeded expectations due to higher interest rates, and that's a good thing, and we could see even a higher discrepancy than the $8,000. We're hoping for that. Expenses are on par with the budget, and for this actual look at the review of the 6-month numbers, estimated total expenses assume that the city will spend the total budget in each category. Except for wages and employee insurance. Wages are down a little bit, and we hope that they stay down. Well, not hope, but they're down a little bit as of now because we have a few positions that haven't been filled. And then the employee insurance is up a little bit for the year-end total because of workman's comp. And I think we'll see increase in workers' comp when we have our renewal.
Is that because of claims?
Yes.
Our claims history, we've had a pretty bad year.
Yeah.
And it's based off of a claim history average of 3 years.
Mhm.
So we have a couple of good years going off with some bad years coming on, which is gonna skyrocket our workman's comp premiums.
So basically, this year, we budgeted around 190,000, came in a little higher. The initial numbers came in a little higher, and then we have an audit, and then we pay a difference of whatever the audit says in July. And I'm assuming that number's gonna come in higher than it has in the past as well.
And in our meeting with our workman's comp insurance provider, we did ask them to go ahead and go out and rebid it to see, because we participate in a pool right now with the state, and we wanted to make sure that we're getting the best rates possible. So we did have them go out and rebid that. And even with our current somewhat good numbers right now, it came in significantly more expensive.
Yeah.
And so when those numbers start hitting, we're gonna need to stay in the pool, but even in the pool, we're probably looking at probably $250,000 a year for workman's comp insurance. We're gonna see a significant increase from the 190
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, so, yeah, we plan on budgeting around a $60,000 increase next year.
So that budget line item will not follow the year-over-year 1% then?
No, not for that expense,
Okay.
no.
All right.
Okay. So next we have our quarterly fund report. These are usually in your regular packet, but I wanted to point them out to while we were going over the 6-month review. The second quarter of each fiscal year, if you notice, we receive property tax. So that's why the fiscal 18 quarter 2 is so much higher than the other than that, revenue is about on par. Also, we've had use tax come in above average, and even with the combined first quarter, how low it was, the 46,000, together, the first 2 quarters are about 15% higher than this time last year in fiscal 17. So this is a quarterly revenue comparison, and comparing the second quarter of 17 to 18, 18 came in about 12,000 higher. It would have come in higher than that, but if you notice the revenue non-categorized line in fiscal 17, quarter 2, that was the revenue we received for the loan for the RMS system and the fitness equipment. So that right there kind of threw off those numbers as well. So when we're looking at the budget to actual in quarter 2, we came in about 63,000 more than projected, which is a good quarter for us. So our general fund quarterly expense report. The expenses in the first 2 quarters of 18 are considerably higher than the last 2 quarters of 17. Some of this is due to salary increases and increase in workers' comp too. Is a little bit to do with that, with the 170 line. We budgeted workman's comp in 2 months. The first month is in March, and we budgeted about 160,000, and it came in at 170. And then we budgeted again in July for the audit. And so, again, I'm expecting those numbers to come in higher as well. Our quarterly expense comparison, when compared to 17, our second quarter expenses are 193,000 below those numbers. This is mostly due to, again, the purchase of the RMS system. You have your expense where it was expensed out here. FY18 actual, the budget is around 368,000 less than expected. This may be due to invoices for March that haven't been paid yet. We'll keep you updated on that. Our CIP, the revenue numbers are higher than expected, just like with the general fund. That's due to the sales tax coming in higher than expected. Expense numbers are even through the mid-year. are rather low, with us budgeting 3/4 of the construction in the later 2 quarters. So I'm not exactly sure what that is, but I would say it's due to the weather this time. So, and then again here, the total expenses assume that the city will spend the total budget, but there are 2 parts in here that I wanted to point out as well. The grant revenue, if you see the budget versus the estimated difference, there's a $336,000 negative. That's because we do not expect to get the grant for the air packs this year. And so that's going to decrease our grant revenue, but we also took it out of the capital equipment line for the $150,000. So that's the other part that you see in the expense line.
Is there a reason that we're not getting that, Chief?
We qualified for funding, but they ran out of money before they got to our name.
Okay.
And
One of the perils of being a W.
Yeah, bad thing about being a W.
They told us and the county fire department both the same letter.
Okay.
We had kind of planned on this. That's why we had budgeted the 150, because we had planned on maybe just paying 150 out of the CIP. But hopefully we'll have another way to pay for that soon, and we'll discuss that at the budget retreat.
The possibility that with the bond issue for the trucks, that there might be enough left over there after we're done paying for the trucks, that it might be able to cover that cost, but we'll have to see the crunch numbers.
We'll know on the 11th is when that bid comes in.
And then our last is the GO bond 6-month review. Property tax revenues look to come in a little lower than budgeted. That's because I didn't allow for delinquent payments. Probably should allow for that, and that's a mistake on my part. Usually when we budget the property tax, delinquent payments are kind of built in because you get the delinquent payments from the previous year. But with this being the first year of having a general obligation bond, we just use the total budget as the debt levy that was set. Are there any questions?
But you do have enough revenue to pay the first bond payment.
Oh, yes, we exceeded that payment. So if you look on the line that says debt service, 193, that is the total debt service for this year, and we've already brung in 989,000, so we more than covered it already. So anything projected will be over that amount. Any questions?
Statutory revenues are coming in well, at least our sales tax and use taxes are making up for some of the lower year and some of the other revenues, and then our expenses are in check and they're a little bit under right now than what we budgeted. So it's always good when revenues come a little higher and expenses are going out a little slower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
The
hope-
use taxes, is that,
Those are the taxes that are paid on items that are purchased in
Right.
another county or city or whatever, but used here.
so that includes internet sales, then?
Yes, so we would get
What we get from internet sales?
we get a portion. I think Amazon is the only one that signed up to pay that,
Right.
and are paying that without a law in place.
Well, I think Amazon's collecting 4.5 right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
okay.
that could be some of the reason use taxes up, but we also have a lot of construction going on, so that's probably the main reason. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Mayor, staff is here if you want to do the first presentation, or just save it towards the end of the council meeting if you want. It's up to you.
Oh, we can do it now.
Salma, you want to come forward and do your presentation on the community survey?
Yes.
Again, you met Salma previously on a proposal with the food truck festival, but she's here. I've asked her to do some work regarding the community survey. You've already had one presentation by the survey company, but I wanted her to go through and look at it from the results based off of the filters of income, age, and affiliation with the military base and the university. So those are the 4 filters she's using to present to you today that you didn't get with the company we paid to do the survey.
First, I apologize for being late. I was donating blood in UCM, so that's why I was late. Second, for the first 2 months of my internship, I've been working on the community survey, and Mr. Sibert gave me the opportunity today to present it in front of you. So, can I just change the slide? Okay. So first, the community survey treats 11 issues. The perception of the city taxes and fees, the community service, the maintenance and services, the parks and facilities, the code enforcement, traffic, safety, police services, recreation programs, communication, and fire department. So we will start analyzing this. The survey is divided in three main categories: age, income, military affiliation, and in UCM students. So let's start the perception of the city of Warrensburg by age. So first of all, the city of Warrensburg as a place to raise children. In this slide, we'll focus more on the 18-34 because these people are those who are more likely to have kids. And overall, in this age range, most of the people are very satisfied of Warrensburg as a place to raise kids. So basically, the older the resident, the more likely you are to see Warrensburg as a good place to raise kids. Right now, Warrensburg as a working place. Here we are going to focus on the 1834. I'm sorry. So for most of the people here in 1834, they see Warrensburg as a good place to work. However, most of the people here also see Warrensburg as a poor place to work. They have in this range age, the more people see Warrensburg as a poor place to work. Why? The 1834 mostly they have the UCM students. As a UCM student, I know that most of the people here, whenever they graduate, they want to leave Warrensburg. However, as I have my internship here, I know from my experience that if people give you more responsibilities, if people give you the chance to improve yourself, and as Warrensburg is relatively cheaper than Kansas City areas and bigger cities, people will be more likely to live here and work here. So we have to find more effective solutions in order to keep the 1834 and mostly the UCM students in Warrensburg. We can do that the City Hall can work more with UCM by giving more chances to the students and providing new jobs, such as jobs in IT, jobs in management, marketing. For example, students right now are really oriented in everything is in technology and things like that. So they have new jobs relating to maintenance of websites, community management, which is taking care of the social media pages and websites. So this is the way that we can keep more let's say the younger rate in Warrensburg. So the younger the resident, the more likely you are to see Warrensburg as a poor place to work. And we can remediate to that by giving them more responsibilities and more chances. Warrensburg as a nice place to retire. Here, we are going to focus on the 35-54. Most of the people see Warrensburg as a very nice place to retire, and especially from the age of 34 to 55. Because these people are those who are mainly concerned and are start thinking about retirement and things like that. So we have to find a way to keep them more in Warrensburg. Satisfaction of the traffic flow. Overall, everybody is dissatisfied of the traffic flow in Warrensburg.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry. And this slide focuses more on McGuire Street. So the younger the resident, the more dissatisfied you are within the traffic flow. However, most of these people, the 1834, are those who leave Warrensburg, they're the first to leave Warrensburg because, UCM students, most of them leave Warrensburg whenever they graduate. Overall, 34.3% of the population is dissatisfied with the traffic flow in the city of Warrensburg, which is a big number. And also, 24.6% of the population is dissatisfied of the availability of bike lines. So if we can provide, I know it's expensive and it takes time to enlarge the streets and the roads, but if we can provide more bike lines and people will start biking more, maybe we can decrease the number of, we can decrease the dissatisfaction of people regarding to traffic flow and things like that. Satisfaction of the other programs. Most of the people, those concerned about this are the 54, 65 plus, and most of the people are very satisfied of the other programs, which is a good thing. So the older the resident, the more satisfied you are of the other programs. Perception of the senior centers. Also, overall everybody is very satisfied of this. However, when it comes to this community survey, I don't think that asking the 1834 about the senior centers is very relevant because, they're not concerned about it. So for sure we will have more data and more numbers, but to be more accurate and more relevant, I think we should focus, when it comes to some specific question, we should target specific audience in order to be more accurate. So the older the resident, the more satisfied with the quality and diversity of the senior center you are, which is a very good thing. So overall, 19.6% of the population doesn't see Warrensburg government as innovative. Most of these people are either 1834 and those who leave Warrensburg the first. So if we find a way to keep them more here, I'm pretty sure that we can improve a lot of things. We can have new ideas, we can have more innovation from the new generations. 14.9 see Warrensburg as a bad place to work. Again, these are the 1834 UCM students. They leave pretty soon and too early sometimes, and we really need to find ways to keep them here. 17.2 are dissatisfied of the usefulness of information available on the city website. That's why I said that there are new jobs regarding in IT and in technology, and if the city works with UCM and can find we can find new jobs for these people, and then we can give them more responsibilities, more chances to improve Warrensburg and do something in order to make this city a better place to work. Better place to live in. I work here and I know that there are a lot of things to learn, a lot of things to improve. And as a student, I've been working here for 4 months, and I know that there is a lot of chances for UCM students to learn a lot of things. So the main concerns of the resident for the 5 next years: road repair, maintenance and expansion, economic development, and crimes. Right now, let's go to the perception of the city of Warrensburg by income. Unfortunately, there are no trends regarding this. There are no significant trends regarding to this section. We cannot measure the perception of the city by income. Overall perception of Warrensburg by military and UCM students. Here we have some good numbers because 60% and 58.7% of both military and UCM students are satisfied of the quality of life in Warrensburg. They really like to live in Warrensburg, and as I'm a student, I know that most of the people here like Warrensburg and see it as they like living here. 30.8% of UCM students are dissatisfied with the maintenance of the city streets and sidewalks. 64% of the students are satisfied with the local police and protection. And I know, as I'm a student, also from my personal experience, that we feel safe in Warrensburg, which is an amazing thing. I have a lot of friends who go out late in the night, girls or boys, and they feel safe. They never experienced anything bad, which is an amazing thing. We see the police everywhere, and we feel very secure in Warrensburg. 57% of the military are also satisfied of the local police protection. 64% of UCM students are favorable of adding tax and fee in order to build new stormwater infrastructure, maintenance, and or replace of current infrastructure. However, these, they also in the 1834, and they also the first people who leave Warrensburg. So asking these kinds of questions to like UCM student is not very relevant because they don't pay taxes right now.
Right.
And most of them are going to leave. So, I mean, they can be as favorable as they want, but if they don't live here, what's the point of, saying that they want to have that? Also, 48.5 the military are also favorable of adding tax and fee in order to build new stormwater infrastructure or maintain and or replace the current ones. Some of them are Missouri citizens, some of them are not Missouri citizens, they pay tax in other states. I think for these kinds of questions, we have to like have a specific, target specific audience in order to have more accurate like responses. Okay, right now let's go to the military and UCM biggest concern for the 5 next years. Both of them have like 58% road repair, maintenance and expansion, 56% economic development, and 36.5% are concerned about crimes. As the other section, these 3 concerns are those who come back. There is a lot of other concerns, but these ones are the more relevant. They have the biggest and the highest numbers. Perception of Warrensburg and improvement. 77% of both categories, military and UCM students, think that Warrensburg is continually improving. Imagine if more 1834, more UCM students stay here and contribute more to the growth and to the empowerment of Warrensburg. We will see higher number in the upcoming survey, the upcoming community surveys. Thank you for your attention. Do you have any questions?
My perception, I think, on some of what you said was the 18 to 34 you target on so much. There's not a lot of clubbing and things to do in Warrensburg, I feel. I'm not 18 or 34 between that range. But I think that is where you're not maybe keeping the UCM students here. Jobs, yes, I agree. But they'll live in Kansas City and work here. You know what I mean? Because there's more to do there. So this is like a small town feel. So that's just kind of my perspective of the 18 to 34 population when the UCM students. And
I live here. I don't have a car, so I don't go to Kansas City. But whenever I go out during the weekend, I see a lot of people. Sometimes too much people. Yes, sometimes too much people. And I feel like Warrensburg has a pretty nice atmosphere. So
good.
I don't think clubbing and things like that will be something that will restrict them, And especially that Kansas City is really more expensive when it comes to renting and things like that. So
other than jobs, keeping the students here, I think that's what it is. If we created
it can be.
something.
From my personal opinion, because I work here, I gained a lot of experience, and I know that when you're young, you're more career oriented. You want to learn, you want to have experience, you want to the more thing it's not about money, it's about experience. You want to improve, you want to grow. So if you give me this, I will stay whatever it is. It's more important than money in my personal opinion. We want to learn more than money will come at some point. First we have to learn. That's all.
I think it's important for us to take from this also the emphasis on the bikes that you brought up, and an approach for that targets that sector of the population, the 18 to 34, as well as the negative feedback we're getting on the traffic flow.
Yes.
And how that would relate to the McGuire Street Bridge at some point in the future.
Yeah, I heard about the McGuire Street Bridge. It's expensive to build bike lanes because you have to enlarge the streets and things like that. But for the future, it could be, an amazing opportunity to decrease the traffic flow and things like that.
Thank you for highlighting that.
Thank you.
Also a comment on the website. So one of the things I don't know through the survey is how recently they visited the website. So if those numbers were based off our old website, our new website, and I think what it indicates is probably in the near future, we need to do a pretty aggressive campaign of encouraging people to go to the new website and experience that. Because a lot of the feedback we get from people that use it is that it's very user-friendly. They can find the information they need, but as the survey result would show, maybe we're not doing an effective job of getting the communication out there that we've upgraded the website and it is now a much better communication tool than what they've experienced previously.
You probably have a lot of your 65 and above that don't go to the website, they don't have a computer, they don't know how to turn it on, and you got your 18 to 34, 18 to 60.
Most of the people,
I don't know, sorry.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
most of the people right now use social medias, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And we can provide a lot more information through social media because people get notification, every morning and things like that. So if there is like a new event or I don't know, it can just like pop up in the morning and it's like you have something this week or there's something new in the city, like the City of Warrensburg page.
Yep.
And they can learn about it. Easier than, opening the website and yeah.
Yep. You are.
Any other questions? That's all. Thank you.
Okay. So we now have an ordinance accepting permanent easement dedication from Brady Commerce Park LLC to Warrensburg, Missouri.
Mr. Mayor, member of City Council, this is for new sewer line that will be constructed for oil investments. This will be the break time project out there in truck stop. Approximately 998 foot of new sewer main that will be installed by the developer, and this is easement for that project. Staff would recommend approval.
Those are 3 different ones that we're voting on this, or is this?
Uh-huh.
There's 3 different ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Clearing up easements and areas out there that we've got to have for the project.
Move to said ordinance be passed second reading by title, sorry.
Lund,
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
This is an ordinance accepting permanent easement dedication from Brady Commerce Park LLC in Warrensburg, Missouri. This is for adoption or rejection. Lund,
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes. All right. An ordinance accepting permanent easement dedication from Oil Investment LLC in Warrensburg, Missouri.
Once again, this is part of the project. On the southeast corner of their property, will be a city manhole. This just outlines that easement for that manhole, that location dedicated to the city for maintenance.
That's the thing that's going along 50 Highway, this probably isn't, there's something going along 50 Highway.
And that's water maintenance going in right now to support the site out there.
Move to pass that ordinance to second reading by title.
Lund,
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
This is an ordinance accepting permanent easement dedication from Oil Investments LLC in Warrensburg, Missouri. This is for adoption or rejection. Lund,
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes. An ordinance authorizing the city manager and city clerk to execute a declaration and grant of easement from Dollar Tree Distribution, Inc. in Warrensburg, Missouri.
Once again, this property is located up with the Dollar Tree property. There is a manhole that's located on the southeast corner of the property that will be dedicated to the city for maintenance.
Move said bill be passed second reading by title.
Lund,
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
This is an ordinance authorizing the city manager and city clerk to execute a declaration and grant of easement from Dollar Tree Distribution Incorporated in Warrensburg, Missouri. This is for adoption or rejection. Lund,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes. An ordinance amending ordinance 5365 concerning the adopted fiscal year 18 annual budget for the general fund, parks and recreation, CIP, and WPC.
Mr. Mayor, members of the city council, what you have before you is a amendment for the budget of a few different departments and a few funds. We had some maintenance issues that are even over the amount that we assumed in finance, but we took the funds to cover that out of another place in our budget, so that's a zero cost. We had the animal shelter would like to purchase a kiosk to streamline animal adoptions. They're gonna use their the donation money to pay for that. Then we had buildings and grounds, which we restricted the citywide cleanup in 17. So we only budgeted one in this fiscal year. So this money will release that restriction to pay for the second cleanup. The debt service, the refinance of the 09 and the 10, the refinance of that resulted in a $43,000 decrease, about $20,000 to the CIP and 23 to parks. So that's a decrease in debt payments. Then we have the wage and benefits study cost share for parks and recreation and for the water pollution control department. And also there were some a manhole and sewer line project that was completed in 17 and it was budgeted in 17, but we didn't receive the actual invoices until 18. So that was not expected to run over. So the extra money that we had in 17 for that would basically go to the beginning balance. So that is not necessarily a wash, but sort of, if you look at it in those terms. Staff, I also included an adjustment that staff did to use $210,000 of the restricted business park funds for the water main extension and breaking access for the Dollar Tree project. All in all, this amendment has a net increase of about $84,000, but about around $40,000 of it was pulled down from unrestricted funds. Staff recommend approval of the ordinance.
So when you said something about the pickup, I was concerned about in 2018 going into 19, we'll have two of them still a spring and a fall, or did we take one of those out?
No.
Okay,
So,
no.
so what happened was in 17, we had more than enough money. I think, or did it run in the 17 run?
I thought they crossed
I think it crossed
budgets. Yeah.
fiscal years, and so we decided to put one of those up for this next year. And, so.
Because I think those are important. I think
Yeah,
people-
I think they're important. I think everyone thinks they're important.
Staff,
So-
as long as the council's willing, still plans on continuing to have both the spring and fall cleanup.
Yes.
We're not eliminating one.
No.
Gotcha.
Budgetarily, we have some catch up to do because we restricted some funds last year, and so we need to amend the budget to free that money up to pay for one of the cleanups this year. And then the other one is already budgeted for in this year, so you still have two cleanups this year. One's coming up here next week,
Next week.
beginning next week, and then we'll have another one in the fall this year, just like we always do.
Move that said ordinance be passed the second reading by title.
Lund,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
This is an ordinance amending ordinance 5365 concerning the adopted fiscal year 18 annual budget for the general fund, parks and recreation, CIP, and WPC. This is for adoption or rejection. Lund,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes. Oh, I have an ordinance amending ordinance 5411 related to creating the Warrensburg Energy and Sustainability Task Force and adopting Division 3 of Article 5 of Chapter 2 of the Code of the Ordinance.
This is basically just cleaning up some of the verbiage with the intent of the group made up of myself, Bob, Phil Miller, and Steve Moeller to talk about establishing the task force and kind of breaking everything down to the nuts and bolts of exactly how it's going to operate. And we tried to leave the ordinance language as general as we could so that they would have flexibility to act. And so the major points that have changed, this ordinance now lays out the length of terms for two people will serve 2-year terms initially, and then 2 will serve 1-year terms. The appointee from the city council will serve a 1-year term, as well as it establishes, it keeps the 5 voting members, 3 equaling quorum, but it also gives flexibility to vote. They can do themselves without coming to us, vote ex officio members. So in this case, we've had considerable more interest in serving on the board, on the task force, than we have seats. Good problem to have, but we wanted to find a way to keep them included and not have to bring it to council every time. And so we've found a way that we can have the 5 core voting members. They can then invite at their discretion the number of ex officio members to participate in the board. So that's what this language does. It just is a little bit more descriptive as far as what they will be doing, how they will operate, and I think this is a really good way to give them the flexibility that they need to operate without having to come to council every other month to get some action taken care of.
So in this, I noticed there wasn't any, like, meetings, like a date, like every 3rd Wednesday or something, no?
So,
It's just whatever?
So tonight, later on in the council meeting, the mayor will be appointing the 5 members. We will send out an invite amongst those 5 members with, here's 10 possible times, what works for you, and they will meet whatever works best for those 5 core members.
So then will that need to be changed, the ordinance?
We're trying to leave that out of the ordinance on purpose so that they have flexibility to adapt over the years as that might change without bringing it back to council all the time for us to amend it. So this is the best ordinance I've seen for boards that is descriptive enough and doesn't tie your hands for the number of voting members, but allows them a lot of flexibility on the operations side. We were trying to have our cake and eat it too. It involved some discussions with the city manager and
the city attorney.
attorneys have gotten involved, and the result was a very good ordinance that we were more flexible than we thought we were going to get initially. So it's written well. And I'd recommend approval.
Nothing further.
I move to pass that ordinance to second reading by title.
Lund,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
This is an ordinance amending ordinance 5411 related to creating the Warrensburg Energy and Sustainability Task Force and adopting Division 3 of Article 5 of Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinances. This is for adoption or rejection. Lund,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes. All right. Did we miss something here? Because I don't have that in my next thing.
Your appointments are later on.
Yeah,
down there.
that's not for a while yet.
Oh. I didn't download this correctly this time.
Yeah, so now we go to the, Scott Holmberg's gonna talk about the inclusive.
Okay.
So you should,
Yeah,
number 8.
yeah, I downloaded this wrong this time. All right, other business, inclusive playground funding and construction request. Scott Holmberg.
Hell,
I think he's taking over for you.
Fine with me.
That's good.
Can I talk for a little bit?
okay.
All right. This is Sean Morrissey. He's my partner in crime on this. Sean, Kristen. I know the audience can't see it, so if I can usually project loud enough microphone. Council will indulge me just a moment. There's something I want to do very publicly and heartfelt for my team. Would you all stand up, please, Susie, team, and all that. So you're going to hear about funds that we've raised, and you've seen us in town and stuff like that. And I'm standing among civil servants that are heroes that put in a lot of time. But my agency's primary mission is not fundraising for Inclusive Park. Almost all of the raising they've done and stuff has been voluntary time. So what an awesome group of people. And when you look at the money of the $101,000 I'm going to talk about that's currently been deposited, $60,000 is represented by the efforts of this group through payroll deduction, personal I think it's kind of a major testament to what we're doing. When we started this project, won't go through the whole history. Sue Krause and Dodie contacted me, letter for support, and wanted to do, and so we got on board pretty big. I donated some money. My board obviously jumped in and dedicated some money to it. We thought the project would be smaller in scope and less expensive, and then we started learning what it really costs to do. This particular plan, which was the approved request for quote through Cunningham, came into about, and I am rounding, okay, so we've got details, but I am rounding, about $323,000. And for the matching grant, and Danielle, keep me legal and straight. All right, the matching grant, to get that full amount, we have to raise $177,000. Up to this point, would you bring me that sheet of paper? I apologize. Yep. We know we have cash in the bank of $101,000, and then really right around the groundbreaking, we have an additional $9,000, so that brings about a total of $113,000. So for us to raise as a community the $177,000, I'm at the point of asking for some additional help. Okay, we have to have the final design by May 15th to fulfill this grant requirement. So the items in blue are what we've paid for, and we know that we can do this park with this pod that you've already seen we've bought, Murdoch Banner bought this kinetic swing. Rotary, I just went to lunch at Rotary and picked up right under about $4,000 from that group for here. If we don't raise the rest of the money, we can pay for the install and pour in place, but we'll have to cut it and do a phase, which we've talked about. I've said that, there's probably be a couple phases on it, but I really don't want to do that. Okay, so I want to come up with a way to get this done this year. The time is right, stuff like that. So I did visit with Harold about potentials we can do. So I don't know. What kind of questions do you have? What are we looking to do? What help can I get?
So in order to translate, he's asking for money from the city to help pay for the remainder of the.
I forget what match up that.
I know that this is a project that's very well supported by the community. I know that several of the council members have talked with me on what can we do to help. My understanding is that we need about $80,000 left, and so my proposal to the council this time is you have the Stevenson Fund available to you. You have probably about $68,000 that's there right now, unrestricted, that's available for projects such as this. My recommendation to the council would be to do a challenge grant to the community of any donations received after April 1st of this year till May 15th, is that the city would match that dollar for dollar up to $40,000 and pay for that out of the Stevenson Fund. And that would be my recommendation to council.
Now, question for you for clarity. This $9,000 that was deposited after April 1st, would you count that as matching?
That is up to the council if they want to include that.
Well, that's what I'm throwing out there. So.
and I know several of us have had private conversations. Is everybody up to base or up to speed on this? I think it's an awesome initiative, and kudos to you. I was there when we kicked this thing off, back in the day. But to see it come to fruition, we're at the last month, the final push to get it done. So I'm fully on board to match up to 40, and I would be inclined to go with the April 1st, and they're off and running with 9,000 already. I'd be fine with that if you all agree.
One thing that may be helpful is if, instead of matching up to 40, if we give a hard donation of, say, 5 and match up to 35.
They're already at 9, so wouldn't we already have? So you would say start at 5 and then continue to match. So we'd be at 14 already.
Right.
Makes it easier for them to get to their max.
Yes.
Utilizing our funds.
Correct.
So yeah, I'd be fine with that.
So is there, I don't have a problem using the funds you mentioned, but is there a way that we could get money back into that Stevenson fund at some point? Because that's going to be a big chunk of money.
I think what you do is, once the inclusive playground is done, you hire Scott to do fundraising for your
Yeah.
seniors.
Sounds like a good plan. He's already got a team assembled.
You got it. But, I actually don't feel I'm a good fundraiser. I just throw it out there and then the magic happens,
I
right?
beg to differ.
So the ordinance we did that we were only gonna get 5,000, what that's gonna do to someone that comes to us for money, right? And that what we're gonna do, we didn't wanna give any more than that
Let me
per year.
explain the Stevenson Fund. So you had an initial donation several years ago that is invested in Garner's interest. That initial donation originally was restricted. So we can't spend that down. And that 67,000 number I gave you does not include that restricted money. So that the 67,000 is the money that it is gained in interest over the years. That's continuing to sit there and be uninvested in the community. So even as you dip into the 67,000 with this $40,000 match, you still have that big chunk of money sitting in there to continue to be invested and gain interest. As Matthew and I reviewed the policy on that, 10% of the income off of that is supposed to be restricted every year as well. And so Matthew and I will work on a policy that we're going to come back, and so as that interest gains every year, we're actually going to take some of that and add it to the restricted reserve. So your restricted reserve will continue to grow over time, is my initial plan for that. But what you are doing tonight is, if you choose to do this, then you will have 40,000 out of the Stevenson Fund that won't be available for future projects. But I think that Stevenson Fund was created with the intent to support projects just like this.
Yes.
And so I'm comfortable, and I think we're definitely within our legal boundaries to use the Stevenson Fund in this fashion. You will still have probably about 27,000 in there available for those requests like you're receiving that will still fall underneath the policy of that no more than 2 requests per year and no more than 5,000 spent. But the council always has at its discretion, if it sees a project such as this that they feel is of enough of a community benefit, that they can use that money for projects like this.
So how much is reserved in the Stevenson fund?
71,000.
Okay.
So really about 130, 140,000 total,
Yeah.
but
So there's 75,000 in reserve, and there's 60-something thousand available for us to spend.
Correct.
So $137,592.73.
I feel much better.
Other than that.
Yeah. Yes, okay, I feel a lot better now.
We're getting around $150 to $200 in interest a month on it. too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. That makes me feel 100% better now.
So that'll decrease when we take 40,000 out of it.
Yeah, it's a decrease.
Yeah.
But it's still, we're still getting good interest right now.
But I think it's a worthy cause. I really
I
do.
agree.
Yeah.
So I would like to move forward with what Casey said, a $5,000 donation and then match up to $35,000 would be.
So that
Technically
put them
your
already at
recommendation.
14,000 and rolling. So it's going to be a community effort to get this final push, and everybody in this room to make sure that we're getting the word out and
So just
shredding
to
up
be-
the Twitter sphere to get that
Yeah.
out.
Just to be clear, are you counting the $5,000 towards the matchable, or are you doing 5,000 and then matching dollar for dollar up to 35,000?
So they're already at 9. We're gonna throw another 5 on it, so they're already to $14,000 of a max of 35 that we will spend.
So really, so we're,
So you've gotta go
they're at
another
18,
26.
they got 9 plus the 9 we're matching, so that's 18 plus a 5 we're throwing in. So they're at 23. They're at 23,000 right this minute.
With what they already have, yeah.
Is that the math you've got too?
I love these matching programs. I'm an engineer and really comfortable with math, and it blows my mind. All right,
Is that what everybody's thinking is the numbers?
So out of
Because
35.
they have 9,000 we're already agreeing to match if we agree to tonight. So that brings them to 18,000, counting our 9 we're gonna match to that. Plus we're gonna give them 5,
5.
Good luck, Sue.
so we're at 23.
920.
Right, so, okay.
Well,
So you're at 23,000, so
28, wouldn't it be?
And every donation you
18
get,
plus 5.
every dollar becomes 2.
Are you matching the 5 we're giving them?
I'd say it counts towards that.
Okay. Are we good with that?
Okay, no,
Yeah,
wait.
counts toward
Okay.
Then I would leave the number at the 40,000 max.
Just
Right.
yeah, 40,000 max.
40,000 max.
Yeah, leave it at 40 and we
At the end of the day, we want them to have $80,000 cash in hand to finish the
Right.
project.
Correct.
No, it might be a little less
You raise 40,
complicated to
we
just
get
say 40,000 and
Raise.
push it hard.
Yeah.
I'd like to get them rolling, but I think they're going to get there.
Yeah.
I
I
think
think we give, I
So
think we
really
do.
effectively, the council is starting them out with a 10,000 donation, because you're giving them 5,000, you're
Right.
adding that for the match. So you're
Right.
already matching dollar for dollar, so you're giving them 10,000
Right.
up front.
That's called seed money.
hey, I got it. I got it.
Yeah.
I will tell the community that there's a whole lot of people on the council that have donated, participated, and it's very appreciative. So there's been well over 100 different groups donate to this, either individuals or groups. So I think it's cool.
Hopefully we'll get more at the food truck festival.
That's right. And
That's right, sir.
Can we get an update in a couple weeks on, because you said until May 15th? Would we?
I'll be more. John and I, or one of my folks and I'll represent and come every couple weeks that you want.
Good.
Yes.
I think
I'd
it'd be
like-
exciting. And I Facebook post like crazy, so you know
We are crazy.
we are crazy.
Whatever meeting is right
But
before
yeah,
that,
I'll be
May
happy to come
15th.
by.
But May 15th, if I understand correctly, May 15th is the deadline to have the money, so that, because we have to meet the grant requirements.
Well, it's not the grant requirement so much. You can actually fundraise all the way up till the end of the year and stuff, but you have to have a construction deadline. And May 15th is the date that we set, because we have to give a chance for them to redo their design, hire contractors, stuff like that. So we need to have it by May 15th.
What's the lead time on some of this equipment too?
Well, we have the pod, and then the rest of it will come in. I don't remember our exact timeline, but they'll start, when are we starting? July, August?
I think we'll break ground in July.
Yeah.
And
So-
hopefully be done by the end of September.
Well, you know if you get the grant.
Do what?
We already have the
Oh,
grant.
you already have the grant?
No, we have the
Grant's all
grant.
for-
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Our grant is
I saw something about
September.
voting every day or something.
Well, that's another
That was a
project
different-
that I would
that was a different
encourage.
one.
I'm voting, but each city can go out and get, I'm taking over, do you mind? Each city can go out, and if your community gets the most votes, you get a $20,000. And so I vote for it because I'm an avid park fan, and so I'd love to have Danielle get $20,000. So it's pretty easy to go out every day and vote.
We received it last year too.
So, But this particular grant was a Department of Natural Resources, Land and Water Conservation type. But we have that, and that's really how all this is working out so well.
Good.
Do we need a move to approve or?
Well, did you start to
We have a
make the?
motion.
Got a motion.
Yeah.
I think we have
Yeah,
a
that's
motion.
Danielle.
Who wants to do it?
I'm just a bit confused where the motion
So
is
we've
at,
gone back
and
to this.
results
I know,
is good.
but
So basically, we're moving to put out a challenge to the community. We will match up to $40,000
Yeah.
fundraised from April 1st through May
May
15th of 2018.
Yes.
He said that's correct.
It
was true.
Yeah, that's great.
That's my motion.
$10,000.
This is a little more clear. I
So
think
we just
that's-
cleaned it up to it's 40,000, we're not putting the 5,000 up
That
on the
help,
front
yeah.
end. We're just saying 40,000 and we'll.
You got this, sir.
That's
Okay.
fine.
And they're already rolling with 9,000
right,
in
right.
if we're counting
Got it.
April
Okay.
1st.
Got it.
So,
Okay. So
Okay.
you got the motion?
I got it.
Okay.
Lund,
yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Jacob.
Yes.
John, thank you very much.
Thank you very
How much you guys raised for the breakfast blast?
Yes.
I don't, do we have how much is coming for the park on breakfast class?
I don't know that.
Okay.
But I can tell you very soon.
All right. We'll update you. We know that Northside Church is gonna do it, but I'll be honest with you, I held that check till this vote, so I wanted to be clean on that. So. There's 5,000.
I have a feeling there was a few deposits being held till.
All right. Are you ready, sir? We need to let them finish.
Come on.
this. All right. Did Jamie send you this list? Yep. Okay, good.
All right. Let's see here. Participation in the JOLT task force.
That would be me. Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, this is a unique opportunity for us. We've been asked to join the Joint Operations Law Enforcement Task Force, also known as JOLT. The task force is made up of officers from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and police officers from Pettis, Johnson, Henry, Hickory, and Benton counties. The office for this task force is located in Sedalia, but the members operate throughout the entire area within those counties, and sometimes they actually branch out beyond there. Our officer would have federal law enforcement credentials permitting him to operate anywhere the ATF has jurisdiction. Primary focus, however, though, is within those rural counties around Warrensburg. Being a member of the task force provides enhanced law enforcement resources for the department that we do not currently have available. Additionally, as members, we would be available to receive proceeds from federal forfeitures that the task force conducts, even if they're not in Warrensburg. This past year, we received $13,000 from our participation in a task force several years ago. The Sedalia Police Department has been an active participant. When I talked to their chief, they get significant forfeitures every year that they're able to use to buy equipment that the general fund then doesn't have to fund. Our obligation is to provide salary and benefits to the officer. The task force provides a vehicle, equipment, and reimburses overtime charges up to $17,000 a year. We can decide to end our participation at any time. Should we have a significant law enforcement operation, we would have the resources of the ATF and all the task force members available to us here in Warrensburg. So it's a pretty significant, what I call force multiplier for us. Be happy to answer any questions that you have this time.
Just to be clear for the public, you're proposing using an existing budgeted position, you're not asking for a new budgeted position for
That
this,
is correct, yes.
I would move to approve the Vernal.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna say move to approve.
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Jacob.
Yes. Okay, discussion of combining the traffic commission and the bike pedestrian task force. Okay, and we talked about this before in the previous one and tabled it. I know there was some discussion amongst the members. I see a few of them sitting out here.
Last council meeting, you directed the city clerk to communicate with the previous task force members, and she communicated that out, so I don't know if she has any responses that came back or not.
I didn't have any responses, but I see familiar faces
Yeah,
out in the
I see
audience.
a few faces out there that were
Yeah,
part of that
Barb
group.
Rhodes and,
Mhm.
yeah, Dwayne. Who else was out there? Terry Brooklyn.
So I think the council's question was, did you want to combine that and okay with it, right?
Right.
They said okay, or they didn't?
So
They haven't
I-
yet.
I knew she was reaching out to them.
Oh, okay.
So I,
They're just kind of
Is
looking
that
like.
Mon- is that
headlights.
Monterey?
okay.
Phil, do you think that would be a good idea? I haven't been on the other one.
Well, that's what I'm looking at. I only got, right now, there's only 2 active members on the one, and I'm 2 short on the other one, and I think it'd be a great combination to combine that, and,
Just as long as the biking, walking task force gets heard and paid attention to, I guess, and it doesn't get swallowed up.
Well,
And I think that was our fear, because traffic, we are talking about traffic and not so much the bike lanes and such, because that does cost money to
Well-
do those, but I understand where you're coming from.
What they're thinking.
So if it gets combined, there will not be a bike pedestrian task force anymore.
Right.
right.
You would take the 2 representatives from the current task force and put them on traffic commission. The question then is, how does the council protect that you always have a bike pedestrian advocate continuing to be on the traffic commission? I mean, today you would have that because you're
Right.
taking 2,
Right.
but when that term expires and you're time to reappoint someone else and you have a new council or a new mayor, hopefully not a new city manager, but how do we ensure that that voice continues to be represented?
Mhm.
We'll get those people never to quit. No. I mean, I see the, I see the issue you're, right there is, is how do we do that? I mean, I don't know if there's a way to change the ordinance to but I guess we don't have that task force anymore.
Could we look at redefining the ordinance that creates or establishes the traffic commission
Right.
to then include emphasis also on bicycling and
Bicycling.
pedestrian?
Yeah, we potentially could.
Phil's got his hand
Phil
up.
might have the answer.
No, I don't have an answer. I have another idea that if the biking, walking task force can meet as a group at least part of the time, maybe they can meet together a certain number of times during the year and, share the concerns that are common to both groups. But I just don't know if biking, walking task force is a viable group right now.
Right, and that's-
How much recruitment needs to be done to make it so.
I guess maybe one of the things you could do is you could change the ordinance, as Councilmember Johnson suggested, and require that there be a subcommittee for the bike pedestrian task force underneath the traffic commission, that they at least have some way to provide recommendations to the traffic commission.
Okay.
But then have that subcommittee actually defined in the ordinance, if that is to
Okay.
continue.
Mhm.
I think that's-
I would like that.
Unless the city attorney has a concern with that.
They always tell you, surround yourself by smarter people than you and you'll be fine in life.
Well, I would definitely like to hear, I mean, especially as a pedestrian or a bike person with traffic, that is a concern, I think, to me too, though. I mean, you guys have rights that ride bikes and walk just like a person on a car, so I think maybe it on the traffic also, I think would be awesome to have you guys on our committee and also understand the needs of the traffic for the pedestrians and bike. And the civic committee is a good idea.
Yes, Mayor. Are you short on bike pedestrian task force? Are you short of people on that?
Right now, that's a 5-person, 5, correct?
5,
Yeah, it's 5, and I have 2 on there.
Okay, and we're 1 short on the,
On the
You're too
right,
short on
yeah,
traffic.
Too short on
Too short
traffic.
on the
Right.
traffic.
true.
Right.
I see it probably at the time where we probably do need to consolidate them because it is very difficult to find people to serve.
Right.
That's,
And this would make it really simple. I mean, bicycles are traffic,
Yep.
so
Yep.
let's put them together, make
Okay.
it happen. That's my feeling on it.
I think it's a good idea.
Yep.
I agree, as long as we delineate that they
Right.
exist to represent the biking task force. So as long as they have a
Taking that
spot
away.
in there,
Yeah.
that they'll always be heard, I'm cool with it.
I don't see a problem with it.
I don't either.
Okay.
Let's go with it.
Staff will work on the necessary amendments and bring it to you at the future council meeting.
Okay.
So do we want to wait until that comes out to put this together, or do we want to make a motion to put it, to merge the 2 now?
You've got the directive.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
We have the
we
directive that we
will
need,
work
we'll
on it
prepare,
and have
because you're gonna have to change the traffic commission ordinance,
Okay.
and then we're gonna have to eliminate the bike pedestrian task force language out of city code as well. So the city attorney and I will work on
Okay.
getting that together, and we'll see you at the next council meeting.
All right. All right, let's see here. Mayor appointments.
I do.
Okay. So go all the way down to the bottom again here. All right, let's see here. Did we ever, is that, so we got an official resignation now and everything, and everything's good with that? Okay. So for Planning and the Zoning Commission, I want to appoint Nolan Brooks to Planning and Zoning to take over Brandon Meyer's slot. And then,
And I think Casey and Bob wanted to discuss.
yeah, and they're
Yeah.
going to handle the other one there. And then the other one, Bob Watson, Casey Lundvall, you want to go through
Yeah,
those
I've
names?
got it all written down
Okay.
because we have to appoint a couple, some to 2-year terms and some to 1-year terms, so when you're ready
So,
for that.
Do we need, you
We could go ahead and vote on
want to
the
make a
no-
motion on the?
We do them separate
the
or
one
together?
and then- Could we do them separate, don't we?
All
Fine.
together's
Well-
fine if everybody has an okay with everything, right? For mayor appointments, we'll just move to approve
Okay,
if we're
so
happy
you
with
got
them. If we're
Nolan
not, we'll
Brooks.
say
So
we're
we
not
got,
having
okay,
a
so we got
second.
Nolan Brooks for Planning and Zoning, and then go ahead and go.
And then Energy and Sustainability Task Force, Steve Fox, 1-year term, Beth Rutt, 2-year term, Lyle Kreisel, 2-year term, Phil Miller, 1-year term, and Bob Watts representing City Council.
It's a great group.
Yep,
A lot done.
I like that list right there.
Another one.
Make a motion to approve.
What about Mike Shaw? You got Mike Shaw in here. Did you see him? I'm sorry.
We've got,
Okay.
there's 9 total names.
Okay.
We're gonna,
Yeah.
we'll
We
be
got more
adding the
people wanting to be
remainder
on
as
it.
ex
Okay,
officio
gotcha.
board members.
All right.
So,
Okay, Lund,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Jacobs.
yes. All right, miscellaneous matters for the mayor and or city council. I'll go ahead and say right now, I want to thank Casey and Bob for working on that task force and getting those people put together and making that happen. City manager's report?
Did you have any appearances to the council about omnibus? Did you do that
Oh,
one?
did I miss that one? Appearances of the council not listed on the agenda, sorry. I skipped one.
I don't know if we had anybody.
I don't think,
Did we already go through us or we do that later? Because I,
Later.
okay.
Yep. nobody? All right, nobody signed up. All right, city manager's report.
Everything I had reported outlined in the city manager report. I don't think I have anything additional to report this evening for sake of time.
Can you tell us everything we need to know, Matthew?
Yes.
Barbara?
I would just highlight that coming up in May 8th is our homeowner code class that staff offers. It's the building official and the planner each year. It's a free class held at the community center. We do ask that you RSVP ahead of time. So for people that are considering homeowners who are considering doing a home improvement project like finishing a basement, adding a shed, putting a pool in, a deck, something like that, where they're doing their own work and pulling their own permit, this is a good chance to come out and ask any questions, find out what type of plans, what to expect in that process. And it does get you $20 off your probably $35 permit. So we had a good turnout last year and certainly encourage people to attend this year.
Slim?
I mentioned earlier, the cleanup is going to be taking place east side of town next week after west side. Hope it's well attended. Hope folks use it. Good service, good opportunity, and we want to see everybody join in. Hope the weather gets better so people get out and get their yards done.
Just for the sake of the public who watch this video online afterwards, the division is McGuire. So anything east of McGuire is next week, anything west of McGuire is the week
What,
after.
is that next week, is it Monday, or do we know what date it is?
Pardon?
Is that next week, is it Monday, or?
Monday.
Starts on Monday. Everybody, folks need to have all of their stuff at the curb on Monday. We don't continuously run around that section of town looking for something all week. They have to have their items they want disposed of there on Monday.
7 a.m. Monday morning.
All right. IT?
No, sir.
All right.
Nothing additional.
Nothing? Danielle?
I just want to say thank you for the support for the playground. That's really exciting and we're excited to get it going. And second, the meet me at the park that he had alluded to is you can vote every day in April. We can win up to $20,000. Unfortunately, I don't think we can apply it to the inclusive playground because it would invalidate our LWCF grant, but we can use it toward a different playground project. So please vote for us. It's just Warrensburg and vote every day.
All
had a particularly busy couple of weeks. We had a house fire at the police department found that was well involved last week. And today, contractors drilled into a 6-inch gas main at the intersection of 13 and Veterans. We had to close 13 Highway for quite a while until we could get it taken care of and close off Cahill. We had great participation and help from Public Works, PD, Highway Patrol, County Emergency Management, us, MoDOT. I think that's everyone. Huh? Oh, yeah, not me, yeah. When they pulled up and they go, oh my, this isn't good.
That's not what you want to hear. Yeah.
So, things went well. That was our first major incident since the annexation. No injuries. Only had 1 or 2 upset people that we know about so far, so.
Highlighted the need for a second egress
agree.
from Cahill, didn't
I
it?
agree.
It proved the point.
That's
Yes.
right.
There were a couple people that were kept out of going into Cahill that were there, and several that were kept in Cahill until Slim went and found an alternative route, and we had a plan in place for the buses, because at first they were talking about 3, 4 o'clock. And so we had planned how to get the buses up and get people up to get their kids there on the south end. And turned out to be really well, and we didn't need it after all.
Good.
Your turn.
2 things. Last week we had a hearing for Valley Oaks expansion, and the DNR was expecting about 200 people. We had about 600. So I want to thank Danielle and her staff. They were fantastic. We were trying to shuttle people around. We had to close the doors to the hearing room at about just before 5 o'clock. The hearing room started at 6. We overflowed into the hallway, and then we had to overflow into the gym. And I had 2 troopers, the sheriff, myself, and 3 officers there, and folks were extremely well behaved. The officers comported themselves very well, and we didn't have any problems at all. So it was a great night. The DNR staff did a wonderful job handling people who were very upset because they couldn't get in. They were wading out in the crowd distributing comment cards, and they were making sure that everybody was able to get their comment cards back in. We had somebody step up and bring their sound system in so we could have sound in the gym, and so it really worked out pretty well. So the second thing, I was super excited about this. Our first drug court graduation was today. Coy Hicks and Marty Stevenson are our first 2 graduates. It's an effort involving the Jackson County prosecutor, Judge Collins, his staff, probation and parole, really a community-wide involvement. And it was really neat to watch these 2 men complete this program. It's more than a year-long program. They were specially selected for this program, and one of the things I heard, and I think it's very important for everybody to understand, these drug court programs, alternative court programs have a 90% success rate. So you're looking at somewhere around a 10% recidivism rate. Other courts have a much higher, like we're talking 60, 70% recidivism. So they cost us less. This cost about $7,000. Housing one person costs about $35,000 a year in prison. So we're saving money, we're turning people's lives around, and I'm really excited about the future of our drug court here in Johnson County. That is all that I have.
Marcy, Old Drum Days,
Yes.
Saturday?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna butt in, but I'm holding back. Old Drum Day, it's Saturday at the Johnson County Historical Complex, 302 North Main. Day starts at 9 o'clock with vendors opening and the children's area opening, and it's at 4 o'clock. Car show will be from 10 to 2. There is a schedule available on our website, visit Warrensburg.com. If you go to the very bottom, you'll have all the Old Drum information. We're really excited. From 11:45 to noon, going to have the recognition of Old Drum being designated Missouri's historical dog. There'll be state proclamations read, city proclamations.
He'll be there, 11:40.
So we're really excited about that. So, and we, the WCDB, we purchased postcards with Old Drum's picture on it, and we'll distribute it during that time as well. So I hope everybody can make it. You might have to bundle up, but that's all right.
Yeah. Not convertible weather, for sure.
I had something, I know we're having budget treat coming up. I didn't know if you're gonna send a blast out. I don't mind doing the same tour we've done for 3 or 4 years, but we're the same councils we were last year. Do we wanna switch up something, or do we wanna go to the West Park, and we wanna go to all the places we did last year? I'm just kinda throwing it out publicly. What do you think is best for us, so the staff knows what we're gonna do? Monday it starts, right? I don't know what time, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so is there gonna be like an agenda come out to us?
Oh,
I haven't got
Yeah,
one.
yeah, Matthew,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
and we can.
So I don't know
yeah.
if staff is gonna do the same thing they did last year and the year before and the year before with us exactly, or is that
No.
what council wants?
So, what we had established in the department head meeting was that, Monday, all day will be, public works. Well, not all day, it's half day. 8 o'clock to 12. And then Tuesday, it will be from 1 o'clock to 5, and that'll be.
So I'm not writing this down, so you're gonna send.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll see,
Okay.
we'll email it to
That'll be
everybody.
Parks and Rec, and then, the rest of the departments will be on Wednesday, and that'll be an all-day thing.
Okay.
And then on Thursday, we'll have the budget retreat. We have the conference room at Fairfield Inn, and it'll be from 8 o'clock to 12.
And not that I don't like Slim going out to West Park and doing that, we've seen it 3 or 4 times. I thought maybe we could go to the other one or something, or, you know, I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not bored, don't get me wrong, but I'm just
But,
thinking,
yeah.
can we do something different this year than we have in the past 4 years on them? Just asking council, what do you think? Especially us 4. Casey had 1 year last year that we went to West Park and the parks and all that.
I feel like he's a townie.
It's kind of our retreat, so we need to give, I feel that we need to give staff a little direction on what we want to learn from the budget, instead of the same old.
I would
Go to
leave
the
it up
animal
to
shelter,
the
I'm good.
staff.
I like the animal shelter. Go ahead,
I'd leave it up
Casey.
to the staff's discretion. That way they can, if they want to highlight something that they're requesting or that it has a specific need that we're not aware of. So I'd rather just leave it up to them and show us what you did with last year's and show us what you want for this year's. That way they have flexibility.
Yeah, I don't mind talking to them and saying if that's what they want, but I mean, going to
Yeah.
West Park, we've already seen that, and we've been out there to the sewer plant for 4 years.
Why do you think-
We have a request for variety, if they can work that into
It'd
the
be nice, something different would be nice, for me, I'm sorry.
I do think versus tour, I'd be more interested in just hearing the what they're looking for this year,
For
and what
budget.
kind of things would
Right.
make their jobs easier. Not that I don't know how to treat water by now, because I feel
And
like
not that I
need
don't
to.
want to go to the animal shelter, but I mean, they're doing a great job out there.
Given the fact
But
that all of
just
you have been
thinking.
on there, we'll do less of what services we provide, because when we started, we did do that, so we're
Yeah,
familiar
and I
with
thought it
Yeah,
was
we
a great
could cut
time when
that
Casey and I
back.
didn't
Since
get
we
our-
don't have a new council member coming on board, you're right, you broke it up to speed, but again, my directive to the department heads is, I mean, each department is responsible for what they want to show you, but I have asked them to show you what they did with last year's budget, what they're doing with this year's budget, and then we'll show you what their needs are that they're gonna be asking for your consideration in the upcoming budget. So those 3 things, so we focus less on services and what they do on a day-to-day basis and more budgetarily focused this year too.
I mean, if that's okay, I was just thinking.
That'd be great.
I mean, especially what we've done in the last 3 or 4 years as a council, like on parks. As a council, what have we done, or on something, you know what I mean, as a council in a whole, to see that our what we're doing is working for the staff. Does that make sense? Fire. So.
I want to see a real fire.
We can light one for you.
Yeah.
Can we pick the place to burn?
No.
Oh, darn.
Put them in the fire training box at a station too.
Yeah.
We could ride the little
That'd be fun.
motorcycle thing that you brought that one time, right?
I'd do it.
We don't
Staff
have
can.
it anymore, but.
Oh, darn, okay.
Put you in the dog seat.
Now, Casey's already
I'm all
done
over that one.
I'm not doing that, that's tough.
Adam knows all he's gotta do is give me a call on that
I
one, and I'm there.
watched
So.
Anyway, that's what I had, so if you guys
Every
can hear
one of those
the,
that
I think
quickly.
so.
Matthew, if you
Wow.
could send something soon, maybe, just so we, 'cause
That's-
I think we all have
that
our
is the
times,
20
right?
2 weeks.
That's the
Huh?
23rd,
23rd,
24th.
yeah.
Okay.
23rd, 24th.
You started talking about Monday and you were scaring me for a
We gotta
second.
go.
No, not this Monday.
I'll send you all a meeting maker,
Okay.
either tonight or first thing.
Okay.
Okay.
We need somebody to read.
Yep.
Danielle, you wanna read again?
Use your iPad. Oh, right there. Okay. Vote to close part of this meeting pursuant to section 610.021 of the revised statutes of Missouri relating to 1, legal actions, causes of action, or litigation involving the city and its confidential or privileged communication between the city and its representatives and its attorneys. 2, leasing, purchase, or sale of real estate where public knowledge might adversely affect the amount paid in the transaction. 3, hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees by a public governmental body when personal information about the employee is discussed or recorded. 12, documents or any documents related to a negotiated contract until a contract is executed or all proposals are rejected. 13, individually identifiable personnel records, performance ratings, or records pertaining to employees or applicants for employment.
Lund,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
I think I read one of those lines twice.
Is that Monda Reynolds with the, okay, I never met her, I thought that must be her, no,
Oh, yeah. She's a neat lady.
yeah. I've heard her name a lot, but just never met her.
She was a really excellent principal.
Oh, I think it was probably,
She was one of the better.
I bet she was after, like,
Oh, yeah, yeah, she was.
If she was little. But it's, the historical side, they'll do a great job. He was getting better. No, he was a cool guy.
I look forward to getting him on board.
Sitting
Pretty
in
green, but well, there's a pin.
Showed him around.
I'm sure I have like 4 or 5. Try to get him on board.
We think it would be a scrap metal dealer. Yeah.
Which car are you bringing?